From Timiskaming Cochrane.
Thank you, Speaker. It's always an honour to stand and debate in this House today on the amendment to a time allocation motion, which is, quite frankly, abhorrent to those of us who believe in democracy. And just for a bit of background for people, so the way it's supposed to work, the government wins a mandate. You know, they win an election.
Fair and square.
They put forward legislation.
That's okay.
Legislation is debated in the House, and typically it passes second reading, at which it's put to a committee. And that's really important, because the committee is where people who have an interest can come to the legislature, the place that belongs to the people, and have their say, put input in, and hopefully make the legislation better. And then after the committee process, the government should, and in some cases, although this government has yet to show that they know how to do that, the government should take that valued information from the people. You know, these guys say they're for the people, but actually have to take information from the people, and then hopefully make that legislation better. You know, with the advice of the people, with the criticism of the opposition, because no one is expecting legislation to be perfect on the first shot. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's the way it's supposed to work. And you know, we have some support, or we had some support on that issue when the government was on the opposition side. You know, like we have a quote here from the current Minister of Transportation from May 7th, 2018. So it didn't take them very long to get amnesia. So from the now Minister of Transportation, how can you say that something has been duly considered if you haven't even allowed the public, the stakeholders, those people who will be most affected by it, those people who will be responsible for carrying it out, the opportunity to offer opinion or views as to how that legislation might be changed, altered, improved, or have some parts of it swept away altogether because they're not in the best interests of the people who will be most affected. You really have to ask yourself if the government is acting in the best interests of the people. This is actually like funny. Or it is acting in what it considers to be the best interests of itself. Because you see, it has got itself up against the wall here as far as timing is concerned. They need that. They feel that they need to get this piece of legislation out there because there's a constituency out there that they want this piece of legislation passed for. They feel it is a good piece of legislation to go to that group and say, look at what we're doing, look at what we've done. From the current Minister of Transportation on May 7th, 2018. At that point, he had some very, I would say, upstanding views on the role of this legislature and the dangers of time allocation. Unfortunately, as soon as he came to the government side, he seemed to have forgotten. So, another from the current Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Really?
The current Minister of Municipal Affairs, who's got carriage of this bill, so he should understand. April 16th, 2015. So again, I appeal to you, all the MPPs on the government benches, to consider carefully the path you're treading. When you are elected into government, you not only are given power, but you're also given the trust of the people. Don't silence the voices, even though they're opposition voices, by shutting down debate and forcing time allocation. This is your Minister of Municipal Affairs.
What happened?
What happened? We used to, you know, I come from a long conservative lineage. And the one thing that the Conservatives and the NDP used to share is at least we stood up for our views. What happened to these two ministers? What happened?
They're Fordites.
Now, from the current government House Leader, who is pushing this time allocation through. Again, April 13th, 2016. Not that long ago. You know, I don't know if amnesia is setting in, but sometimes, and I quote, sometimes what happens here, my friend from Renfrew, Nipissing, Pembroke, describes it as the guillotine coming down and slicing off debate.
Sure.
The guillotine. He makes a very effective sound effect every time the House Leader or Deputy House Leader moves a closer motion. We've seen that time and time again. They should not be using a blunt instrument, and a guillotine is a blunt instrument to pass legislation in this House. Again, when they actually had that principle, we didn't agree with some of the things the Conservatives did, but we did believe in that principle, and I personally believed that those members who made those statements in this House believed in that principle, but they no longer do. And that is incredible, Speaker.
Some government of the people.
That is incredible. And if you will recall, and I've mentioned this a couple of times in the House, that the throne speech, when we walked in, the band was playing the theme song from Game of Thrones. And now every time I walk in here, I look for the arrow slits. And you know, every series has a score, every movie has a score, and I think this government should have a score. Or perhaps their own band.
Yeah.
Their own band, yeah. And I've been thinking about this for a while. And, you know,
The Darth Vader.
once Ball of Confusion came on the radio, I thought, you know, that kind of fits, but not really, because these people aren't confused. Misled, perhaps, but they're certainly not confused. This is a direct attempt. What they're doing isn't confusion.
They've got their eyes wide open.
But I drive a lot, and I listen to classic rock. And a great tune came on, and I'm sure, you know, Speaker, I apologize, I am not a singer. but I'm sure you will remember. Some of you will know when you hear the lyrics to this, and hopefully I can, without losing the lyrics. Oh, there we go. There we go.
30 Ds.
Losing my religion would be a good one, because you seem to have lost your morals.
That's right.
The House Leader suggested losing his religion. That would be a good one, but I didn't think of that one, Speaker. But I was listening to the radio, and I heard it, and the tune was making it work, takes a little longer, making it work, takes a little time. Right? Making it work takes a little longer. And when you're drafting legislation, guess what? Making it work takes a little longer. Making it work takes a little time. And what you people are doing, you've totally forgotten that, and you're rushing this stuff through, and you're going to regret it.
Who was the band that sang?
So,
Who was the band that sang?
oh, actually, and again, the House Leader suggested we get a gong. Perhaps we should get a gong, because this government is a gong show.
So I'm going to remind all members to direct their remarks, their refrains, their dancing and prancing to and through the chair. Thank you.
I feel sorry for our answer.
Thank you, Speaker. I will try and tone it down a bit.
No.
Another issue, again, so yesterday in question period, we were talking about, you know what, one of their signature policies, buck a beer.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now, and they claim that there is no financial incentives attached to this. But the LCBO is going to give free advertising, and premium shelf space. That is a cost because anyone else has to pay for that.
Yep.
Now that is a subsidy.
Yep.
For people who claim to be representing the businesses of the province, to claim that that is not a subsidy and that that is not corporate welfare, come on. Come on. Come on. And this whole buck of beer thing,
Loony idea.
right now, the floor price is $1.25, $1.25. Where is the $1.25 beer?
That's right.
Yeah.
Where is the $1.25 beer? So again, you know, you've won the election. It's time that you guys actually govern like grown-ups and actually use the process the way it's supposed to be used. There was a quote from the Premier, before it was Premier, saying, we're not going to be government for government, we're going to be government for the people. This institution has been developed over hundreds of years with a certain process, and the committee process is where the people get to have their say. Coming from Northern Ontario, we always push to have committee hearings in Northern Ontario on issues in Northern Ontario. And you know what? We always get frustrated. It never happens. In this case, the committee hearings can rightfully be held in Toronto. So we don't understand why you don't do it. If you're so proud of this legislation, why don't you do it? And I'm trying to help you, actually, because, you know, I've got family on that side. So, because in the immortal words of the theme band for the Conservative Party, Doug and the Slugs, somehow appropriate, Speaker.
It's Doug and the Slugs, man.
So, and if the government is not careful, Speaker, and doesn't take their job seriously, doesn't take democracy seriously, and again, in a quote from Doug and the Slugs, here's what could happen. Too bad that you had to get caught. That's not like you to lose face. So sad that you're not as smart as you thought you were in the first place. And that could very well happen with a government that starts out as arrogant and as undemocratic as this one. It's galling, Speaker. So, because of that, I would like to move an amendment to the amendment. So I would like to delete that except in the case of a recorded division arising from morning orders of the day pursuant to Standing Order 9C, no deferral of the second reading or third reading vote shall be permitted, and replace with the votes on second and third reading may be deferred pursuant to Standing Order 28H. Give it to page Jamie.